Fendi like the bag. This is the I Refuse podcast.
There's no E.
No E. So, I was telling the peoples while you was away. Sometimes it's a struggle. It's like there are a lot of positives to keeping the mask on. You know, don't have to smell bad breath. There's a buffer or a barrier. You don't have to smell what people smell like on the inside. Limits exposure to BO. But the downside for us, me especially, is that there's a lot of mystery. It's like,
Why you especially?
Because when I'm around guys, because, you know, I'm attracted to guys, and I'm talking, I'm like, you have a nice pair of eyes. What does your mouth look like? Do you have a mustache under there? What's going on under there?
I get it, but why especially you versus me, who also is attractive to men and finds their eyes attractive?
Because that
trying to
part,
say why you more than me is what I'm trying to understand.
I'm speaking for myself. It's like seeing a whole face, and I'm not like primarily superficial, but I mean, I miss speaking to a whole face.
Yeah, I do too.
And part of the conversation involves seeing a whole face. So I kind of feel, you know, a little shortchanged, but that's neither here nor there.
I'm with you.
Yesterday we had so we live in a downtown city.
Mm-hmm.
Not telling y'all where. And they had two events yesterday, concurrent.
No, it was kind of an all-day event. Every first Saturday of the month, there's like a theme. Yesterday was Dog Days because it's August, and
Right.
It wasn't the traditional amount of heat. I mean, there were a lot of hot, dudes walking around, but it wasn't as hot as it normally is at the beginning of August in our particular hometown, which was nice. It was a little gray. It was comfortable out. First Saturday. It was fun.
So it was. And the great thing about being in a downtown area is you get to people watch from your front window. But, you know, still got the Delta Berg variant going around. People are still functioning and walking around unmasked. Some people do it masked, walk around or whatever, which is fine. But nevertheless, either way, people are just not conscious.
Distancing was not a thing yesterday.
And to be fair, it's never been a thing.
Right.
Like, you ever go to a Wegmans and you just want to look at the chicken, and all of a sudden there's like a face here coming up from the right side and a face here coming over your left shoulder because they want to look at the meat too. That's like right in front of you.
Right.
But
like you can't wait 2 seconds for me to pick up the pack of chicken breasts and.
Or you can't look at the same pack down there or
right.
down there.
It's chicken breast.
You really got to.
Seen it before.
Right.
It's not.
And it's the same thing elsewhere in the case.
It's the same.
So.
Had it before. It's not new.
Same experience yesterday. You know, I went to go downstairs to listen closer to the saxophonist and the guitarist / singer.
So yeah,
across the street.
Part of the stuff that goes on is like street musicians.
And as soon as we get to the last flight of steps, first of all, there's a man in front of the building door. Doesn't live here.
Mm-mm.
Doesn't have any connection to anybody that's here. Just in front of the door, just with a cigarette. Just random guy. I walk out, go across the street, give the people some money for entertaining the white people. The man had a lovely voice. I think he's like African or Jamaican, but he has a really lovely voice.
They sounded great.
And he was performing or singing "Isn't She Lovely?" Now, in the history of my life on this planet, one thing I know for sure is that it doesn't take much to get a gaggle of white women to dance and sing together as they walk. And this is one of those cases, right? He was singing "Isn't She Lovely" by Stevie Wonder. Not even, I think he got to like the bridge. And sure enough, when we're singing to their mother, "Isn't she?" I'm like, okay. I'm gonna just wait for this to pass. And this is the middle of the day. Like,
It's like 3:30, 4 o'clock, something like that.
You would think something like this would happen after people have been drinking. Middle of the day. And it was good to do that. Then I came back over across the street to stand in front of our building and people watch, people with dogs and stuff. And again, to support my earlier point about Wegmans and personal space. And we didn't even talk about personal space last year when we started the channel. People just could not resist the urge of like walking real close. And I'm standing up against the building. And you can see the both of us as if you were one of those people walking down the street. So this is what I do. This is my 6-foot exercise.
I wish I had.
This is my 6-foot exercise. Because I almost got clipped by a white woman in flat butt short shorts. I guess she was just mesmerized by the storefront of the furniture store next to us. That she just thought it just kept going and was just real. She just was walking real close. And I was like, okay, I got something for that. And he snapped a photo of, it was almost a head-on collision because it was two people walking from different directions, almost into my hands while they were out like this. And that's how you gotta do it. But the point is, you would think, as dire as things are, people would get
With the program?
with a concept of personal space.
Uh-huh.
You know, we're going into the 3rd season
Yeah.
of the Picture Perfect, and it's just out of control. But you know what?
You know what this is? This is the living life equivalent of pineapple on pizza. It's just wrong. We should have been done with this shit like months ago.
Right. But people find it more important to keep traveling. And not only keep traveling, but like cause a scene. And when you get on the plane, and it's not just a scene about, oh, you're making me wear a mask. I don't care if you have to land this fucker. I'm not wearing it. And then the marshals get on the plane after the pilot and the flight crew has already told you multiple times and has warned you multiple times to keep the mask on. Marshals come on and it's like, okay, we have to clear the whole plane because this person will not cooperate. Oh, yes.
You don't want to get duct taped to the seat.
Listen.
Like that dude on Frontier the other day.
After I got the backstory as to what that white boy did, throwing a fit, groping the flight attendants, acting all kinds of stupid. Heck yeah. And then Frontier had the nerve to fire the people that, like...
Did they get fired? I know they got suspended.
I got word that they got fired.
Oh. Last I heard, they had gotten suspended for duct taping a problematic
That
customer
isn't
to
white
see.
privilege for your ass. Like, you're the person causing the ruckus.
Right.
And you're putting everybody else at risk in the process.
I mean, it is Frontier.
What does that mean? Share
It's
with
like
the people.
a step above Spirit.
Oh.
While pretending it's not, but like it's a barely valued jet if you're old enough to remember that mess.
If it has value in the name, don't even buy it.
Now, walk.
So the reason why I laughed as soon as he mentioned Spirit, I've flown Spirit once, and that will be the last time. And ever since me and my cousin Yaya have flown Spirit, we make jokes and we laugh at like the Spirit memes because it's like that's exactly what it's like. Okay, first of all, it was 7 years ago. It was supposed to be a group trip with family. You know, we get everybody in the group text, and we say, you know what? This was like mid-March we put this group text together. All right, everybody, there's a couple of people in this thread that have the same birthdays around the same time. Let's all do a group trip to Vegas, right? It was like 6 or 7 of us. Not even 2 weeks later, it ended up just being me and her left over. Like, I paid for my tickets within 2 days of starting the group chat. Because I'm like, okay, that payday is Friday, no big deal. Ended up just being me and her that go, right? And we picked Spirit because, you know, short on money. Okay, so with Spirit, not only do you have to buy your luggage, like it's extra money for each additional bag that's not in the overhead, but you also have to pay for the snacks, you have to pay for the air you breathe, you have to pay for your seat. I had to pay extra for a window seat. So that's like 4 things before you even walk through the double doors at BWI. Then, so it worked out to where she and I could not sit in the same row. But she got a seat in the row behind mine. So we're getting on the plane together. I look at my ticket. I look at the letters. I'm like, all right, I think it was L or K or something, right? Get to my row, and I count the seats. 1, 2, 3. I'm like, okay, this is the window seat. But there's somebody in my seat. And she got backup. It's a girl in the middle seat and it's a girl in the window seat. And I look at my stub or ticket or whatever, my printout, my confirmation, like I would if I was at the movie theater or the Kennedy Center, because you know, I had money back then. There's a girl in my window seat. So I put my knee in this aisle seat, and I'm like, excuse me. You know, I start here. I'm like, hi, excuse me. I think you in my seat. The girl didn't move. Hi, miss. Hi.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, you in my seat. And, you know, she is like comfortable and, you know, that thing that
All
people
settled
do
in
where they do this with their butt and they're like getting all comfortable. Excuse, hey, hood rat girl, hey, You're in my seat. And, you know, I'm still here.
Right.
I'm not here. Like, I'm not in the rafters. You know, it's $25 additional dollars I pay for my seat.
Right.
She doesn't move.
Specific.
Right. I paid well in advance. On top of, you know, the airfare. I specifically wanted a window seat.
And is that like an extra upcharge? Because I know you have to pay to pick your seat.
Right,
You
just
have to pay more for specific seat, like I want an aisle seat or
I think the window
I've never
seats
done
are
Spirit, so I don't know.
Yeah, so take this as a debrief. Spirit Airlines. I'm like, hey, you girl, you're in my seat. So her wingman.
Did she ever respond? Oh, sorry.
I have to give them the full experience because here on the I Refuse podcast, y'all are just experiencing life with me, and I'm a great storyteller, and I gotta do shit for effect. FYI, she didn't respond, but her homegirl in the middle seat did, and did it with a look on her face, like I was inconveniencing them. She was like, well, can't you switch?
No, I paid for that seat. I'd have been done. I'm not patient with this bullshit.
And by this point, out my side eye, I see Yaya like peeking between the seats.
So she's already in her seat.
She's already in her seat, and she's watching this
Unfold, right?
from the crack between the seats. Right, that's her, but behind my row. Cause, you know, cousin, family tree. I'm about that life. I said, no, I'm not switching. I paid for that seat. So the girl in the middle. Here's the thing. When it's two or more people, right? Whether the main person you're addressing is quiet or they're rah rah rah, like there's always another person in that group that's either the self-nominated spokesperson,
right,
and does all the talking, or there's a person in that group that hypes and instigates. Luckily, it was just these two.
Well, that's good.
I was like, no, I'm not switching. So the girl in the middle seat is the one that's doing all the verbal talking,
the negotiating,
all the nonverbal, all giving me all the attitude. While the girl in the window seat has on her pink bonnet. And here's another thing.
Wait a minute.
People do you see how people are dressed when they get on Spirit? They are dressed.
I mean, I've seen Southwest, and like I dress for comfort when I travel on a plane. I think we all do. Like, gone are the days when people would like put on suits. Like, why would you do that? But and there are people that get on Southwest that look like they literally are in the clothes that they wore sleeping, like pajamas. Like,
so same thing on Spirit.
Okay.
But
I can only assume like unlaundered on top of it.
Well, I've never run across a smelly person, but
Well, that's good.
they have pajamas on, got the nerve to have on a winter coat, like what they have on underneath our street clothes. But bonnet, eyelashes, makeup on, attitude on 1,000, pajamas, winter coat, or a spring coat, seasonal coat, or whatever. But a satin bonnet. Like the kind you wear to bed. And this is before, like, the trend caught on that y'all see now, where, like, people actually go everywhere in slippers with like the very furry slippers, very flat slipper, the bonnet, the Felix the Cat eyelashes, or the Betty Boop style eyelashes, real big. Like you can't. It's so big that you can't see what color their eyes are because they just take over the
whole face.
eyelid.
Yeah.
Right. You see that a lot at Walmart, by the way. This is what it looks like at Walmart, though. Let's say you're in checkout, right? And the cashier's like, "You find everything okay? You find everything okay?" That'll be $8.25.
Like you're leaning back because you're afraid you're going to get hit by eyelashes.
I'm grabbing a poncho because I'm feeling a hurricane. You find everything okay? You find everything okay? Thank you for coming to Walmart. As you were saying.
Honestly, if you're putting in all that effort, fucking put on proper clothes.
You could put on sweat shorts.
Right, that's what I wear.
And a white tee.
Usually color, but yeah. I'm not dressing up.
Like, as long as it's clean and it fits.
I'm going to be a pressurized metal tube going 600 miles an hour for 4 hours. I'm wearing as comfortable clothes as I possibly can.
But don't let it be pajama jams.
And no belt. Don't fucking wear a belt to the airport. Because you got to take all that shit off.
And if not, you hold the
and
rest
then
of
you're
us
holding
up.
You know, the whole damn line. Sweatpants. Drawstring. Tie that shit up.
We talking about BWI, so there's probably a lot of people south of BWI that have drawstring as a belt.
You would think. So, like, a couple years ago, in Orlando, I'm trying to come back from this conference that I'm at for work. It's 4 in the fucking morning. You would think that even in Orlando, land of Disney, that the airport would be relatively calm. My coworker and I picked this flight, literally the earliest possible flight we could get from Orlando to home. Thinking the airport would be busy because it's Orlando, Disney, people are traveling, whatever. Middle of the week, all of that. All of the things that should have worked in our favor. We were in line for 40 minutes. And if you've never gone through security in Orlando, just set yourself on fire. It will be a more enjoyable experience. Not because of the staff, just because of where security is in the lines. So we're in this line, and we're like, for fuck's sake, can you people hurry up?
Not for fuck's sake.
It is like, it took us almost the entire hour plus we arrived prior to our flight to get to our gate. Because of all the small people involved with the adults acting like children, trying to get through the lines. Everyone's wearing, like, fucking belts and shoes with steel in them or something, and, like, you couldn't... No belts, soft shoes. If you ever travel again, no belts, soft shoes.
Listen, I don't care if
Slippers.
it's...
Something.
If it's even like Payless, well, Payless is not around anymore. I don't care if it's like Big Mama's slip-ons or Big Mama's Velcro shoes or like Prince of Egypt sandals. Like, I don't care. Like,
and on the subject of sandals, the number of people I've seen going through security where you have to take your shoes off.
Some people refuse to do that.
Like, in flip-flops. Like, why are you barefoot in a fucking airport? Just get a hacksaw. Cut your feet off.
I feel like that's one of the ways COVID got over here. Is y'all walk around anywhere barefoot.
I hate shoes.
And then wonder why y'all need Cornhuskers lotion.
I hate shoes. I wear shoes from 2 seconds before I walk out the door until 2 seconds after I walk in the door. You know this. Like, if my shoes are not off my feet within the first minute of getting home, something's going on, or we're going back out. I hate shoes. Wear them at the airport. Wear shoes and socks. Travel tip. It's free.
All I'm saying is,
And wear a mask.
Please, above your nostrils
Please
and below
wear a
your
mask.
bottom lip.
I want to go to Europe in 2023.
Listen.
And if you dumb bitches don't wear a mask, we're
Listen.
not going to Europe. Ever. We're going to die before we can go to Europe. Because Europe's like, no. Y'all can just stay over there. We're done.
We're going. Him and
We can't
I.
even go to Canada.
Him and I are going to Europe. We're just going to Europe, watch and drive and learn videos. But Canada, thank goodness we were able to do that.
Right. Now, they're like, no, we don't want to go.
have never been to Canada prior to this. Well, prior to the Panda Express, because he took me for my birthday in 2018.
Right. It's the last time.
And
I've
that
been
was
out of the
like
country.
spur of the moment, essentially, because that wasn't part of the plan originally,
Well, it wasn't part of your plan.
and which is fine because, and that's the kind of shit that I like. Like, if you want to surprise me by taking me to another country. Don't
Happy
surprise.
birthday, surprise.
Don't surprise
International
me
travel.
with a summons or a subpoena. That's not the kind of surprise I want. But we went to Vermont.
Speeding ticket, maybe?
Vermont, bitch.
Or parking ticket.
Vermont.
He's an international scofflaw, by the way. Go on, tell him about Vermont first, and then we can talk about your international criminal enterprises.
Causing trouble ain't no issue. It's usually an issue for the people that bring it up. Anyway,
Not my issue.
went to.
I'm not the one that owes the Commonwealth of Canada $60 Canadian for parking without paying a meter.
Well, who told them to put the meter like
Against
2
the
miles,
building?
2 miles down from the car?
All right, so to be fair, we park. We don't see a meter because we're American, where the meter is properly by the curb. But in Montreal, the meters are against the building. Why?
When you're American first in Canada, you're not going to pick up on that. And I was looking around, like I looked on my side of the street,
Right, you're
across
on-street
the street.
parking. Yeah.
When I walked across the street, I looked up and down the sidewalk, didn't see a parking meter.
I mean,
We
like,
weren't even in the restaurant.
not even an hour.
Come out, and there's a damn CVS receipt on my windshield.
Well, it was in English and French, so.
A CVS receipt. And those of us that have gone to CVS know how long them bitches are. I said, this is a whole goddamn Disney storybook that I gotta unfold off of my windshield.
It was, what, at least 5 or 6 feet long.
Man, listen.
It was ridiculous. It was a CVS receipt, but 8.5 by 11, like 11-inch wide, like a sheet of paper, but in English and French, and then there was a whole other section of like the laws you had broken in English and French.
And whenever you get an infraction, you're just like, just tell me what the price
Right.
is. I don't need all this.
$60 Canadian.
Nevertheless, I wrote a check. Whether or not they took the money out of the account, I still cannot confirm. But I did my part. Nevertheless, I did get a Canadian parking ticket.
International
but
scofflaw.
yeah, and that was just for the day, my birthday. But nevertheless, like Montreal is like
Happy
so
birthday from
clean,
Canada.
and the people are so happy. You bump into people, they don't catch an attitude. People work out and run and are very active. There's not a single piece of litter on the street.
It's still funny to me, and I still think about this and tell people this little tale. The number of times we walked into a shop or a restaurant, and in Montreal, of course, French, Canada, Quebec, they speak French by default. So you walk in, and they greet you in French, and then as soon as you reply in English, they switch to perfect generic Midwestern English, like the standard American sounding English is just unaccented, flat Midwestern.
Right.
And you're like,
Are you a mole?
And like fluently, not like no accent, nothing. We walked into that stationery shop and that woman went from French to English like you wouldn't have known she was French. It was French Canadian.
Do you know I bought a French book? I was so excited to go. Only to turn around and just keep saying bonjour everywhere we went.
Right. Which then, of course, made them speak to him in French until they realized, oh, that's the only
that's
word,
as far as it goes.
That's the end of French for this dude.
But nevertheless, Montreal is nice.
I want to go back if we can get past the Panda Express.
But y'all keep fucking up in these streets, man.
Well, probably not your audience, because your audience is probably not.
Yeah, I love my
the
audience.
Masses, like the rest of the world. Like the other 50%.
Y'all got common sense.
Right.
Y'all know the good stuff your big mama taught you.
Right.
And
you give a shit about other humans.
That, and you also have great critical thinking.
Not critical thinking. We don't do that in America.
I know, right? There is no nuance to anything.
Drink up so I can refresh.
I need an ice.
No, you're having it neat.
But yeah, we would like to get to do we would like to do international traveling again. And the way you bus seat smelling white people be doing, acting, just can't wait. Like, we were maskless for 2 weeks, and we got to go back to masks now. We're already back to having to wear them, like, everywhere, indoors again.
We finally, the two of us, because, I mean, at least around here, mask mandates ended beginning of June, I think. And we've been pretty good. Like, we still kind of wear masks like it's our job when we're, like, going into places. Even if no one else was. But now it's, like, all the more so. I'm just going to have it permanently attached at this point because people can't get it together.
Thinking about getting me a Gucci Mane mask. Or what's popular now is, like, people get masks that makes it look like they're not wearing one.
Oh, yeah, we saw one of those in Fells Point a couple months ago.
If you really want to fuck with people's minds, get one of them jokers.
And from a distance, like, you wouldn't have known the dude had a mask until he was, like, within just over social distance length away from you. Like, it looked like he was just a scruffy-faced dude. And then he walked past and we were like, oh, shit. He is wearing a mask. It was only because he was talking. Like, once he was close enough to hear he was talking, you're like, oh, that's a mask. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, but, you know...
I don't like the cloth masks. I like the paper.
Yeah, you might as well just put your face on the COVID at that point.
They stay out of my mouth. That's all I want. There's lots of things I like in my mouth. Paper. Maybe later.
You gotta pay extra for that. So...
You derailed your own train of thought, sir. I just helped.
Oh, fuck, I did.
You got all distracted by that.
But I want to get back to eating hot dogs around strippers and flying kites and, you know, finding somebody with a boat. You know, normal stuff. I just want to get back to that kind of shit. And y'all are fucking up the thing.
How many random people with boats have you encountered in the past?
I've only come
this
across
seems like
one
a very
person
specific thing
over
to miss.
3 years ago.
Okay.
And I didn't know he had a boat at the time, but I found out later on. I was like, oh,
this seems
we
like
might have to become friends.
Okay. This
but
seems
here's
like
the
a
thing.
very specific thing to miss. That's why I was asking.
Because you have to celebrate, or you have to keep in mind those kind of things where, like, oh, this person has a boat and I don't. I have to remember that.
No, I'm with it. That just
but
was very...
The other thing about it, it's like, do I really want to be on a boat in the Chesapeake Bay?
Yes.
What side, though?
What do you mean?
The bay close to Baltimore, or the southern or the southeast part, like out towards the actual ocean?
And what is your apprehension between the two? The bay's a sheltered waterway, more or less.
Yes, it's sheltered, but it's smelly and it's brown in some parts.
That would be the Baltimore end of it.
Right.
So.
And then right, which I've been on it once or twice in my life, and I'm good.
Yeah, like the water taxi from Fells. No. Like,
But they stay getting business because we were down there once.
that was back in May. We were just.
Oh.
That was when.
So we had, what was that, brunch?
It wasn't brunch.
We went to Barcocina, Barcocina, which is on Thames Street in Baltimore, right?
It was a beautiful day.
We did. We had brunch or lunch and drinks, but we were down there for a total of like 4 or 5 hours. Because it's like, once you get parking down there, it's like,
You may as well stay.
you might as well stay. Because
Got my hat.
you guys had, which is...
Hold on. It's hanging there. It's the Maryland flag. Oh, look, I'm pointing right at it. It's like I'm a weather guy. Maryland flag. I get so many compliments on that hat. Like, I want to get more because those of you who aren't in Maryland, your flags have to have the name of the state printed on it so people know what the hell it is. Not Maryland.
Right. That's how remedial the rest of y'all are.
That's right.
But nevertheless,
Wisconsin.
it touches the bay. The what was that, boardwalk, walkway, pier, touches the bay.
Fells Point.
So we had right. So we had lunch, brunch, whatever, drinks, and we were sitting on the bench. Like, we even had like pretzels and shit. Came back, sat on the bench, and we saw the water taxi come in and stuff. A big thing in Baltimore are the scooters. You know where I'm going with this. You know where I'm going with this.
I know where you're headed, yes.
So we were sitting there, and by that point, a girlfriend of mine had joined us. She came from, I think, her son's baseball game. We're sitting there talking, chit-chatting and stuff, and we see this short black lady coming from things on one of these scooters.
At high speed.
And it's clear that she's in some sort of distress. She cannot handle her scooter. First of all, she has her phone in her hand, her cell phone, which means neither one of her two hands is securing the scooter. And I shit you not, she's doing this. It was a Mayday situation almost. She's flying at high speeds, and she almost ran into the harbor on the scooter.
So,
almost taking the trash can with her.
So like there's the pier, and the restaurant's like here, and we're on this side next to the water. Shockingly not smelly, but it also wasn't that hot, so that's probably why. But anyway, she comes rocketing down from the street, like literally like they had put a rocket on the ass end of the scooter. And you could either go forward, which would take you eventually to the end of the pier, where like one of the old ships was the Constellation? Not the Constellation.
One of the big gray ships?
One of the big old Civil War era ships was docked on one side of the pier at that point.
I think it was the Penta.
It wasn't quite that old. But, so if you go forward, eventually you run out of pier and you'll go in the bay. But she was far off from that. If you went, like I said, the restaurant was like here and kind of went that way. And then there was a walkway that went along the water around past some buildings. And she was aiming for that turn, but she was going so fast, so fast, and she was aimed toward the gap between the railing for this part of the pier and the part that kind of goes that way. And had she not swerved and kind of almost hit the trash can that was kind of placed there, she would have literally gone between the gap into the bay. And, like, everybody was like, ah! Like, there was a collective gasp.
Had she not had the forethought to put both her feet on the ground
and pretty much just let go of the... Yeah.
To stop it from going. Because she was on the scooter with both of her feet from Thames Street.
And just rocketing.
And it was Mayday probably before that.
Yeah, I think she had lost control before she even got where she was in our field of view. But we were just watching this like...
and I'm like, listen...
Like, I'm not here for a water rescue.
I'm all for saving people, but ma'am, like you are...
If you're in the bay, I'm not getting the disease.
Because they still dump bodies in the bay.
Really?
There's
I mean, I'm not surprised. Really.
There's still news. Like, as as recent as since the Panasonic has started.
No, you've used Panasonic. Do you have to come up with...
Since the Pantene Pro V.
Since
there's still...
Since Pee-wee's Great Adventure.
Since the first season of that. Yeah, still bodies coming up.
I mean, I'm not surprised.
I mean, I feel like it's dark green and...
Right, I mean, if you're going to get rid of a
body,
weigh the shit down and toss it into the bay around Baltimore, no one will ever see it.
Especially
if you go, a shitty job tying the...
Especially if you go, like, near Locust Point, near Cherry Hill.
And weren't we down there, like, right after the fire at the... Across, like, directly across? Because remember, our server was like, we were working...
the fire at Domino Sugar.
It was a Domino Sugar. I couldn't remember where it was.
Yeah, this was
like
after,
a week or so after that. It's a couple weeks after that.
After I think the silo burned down.
Because our server was talking about that. We're like, oh yeah, it's like right. You can see it from where we were, and she was like, oh yeah, we watched the fire the other day.
Alas, the sign's gone.
Oh, I thought they put it back up. I thought there was a whole thing like the sign was coming down, and then it just said no for a while. But in reality, they were like refurbishing it and modernizing it. I thought it's back up. I could be wrong. I drink.
I could be confusing that with Natty Bo, which I mean,
think that's been gone for a while. But I thought the Domino thing, like everyone was upset because everyone thought it was being taken down, and it's a historic landmark.
Right.
But I thought I later saw that they were putting it, like it wasn't coming down. They were just replacing the old neon with more modern, energy efficient. But it was still going to say Domino Sugar. And not just no. Because for a little while it just said no.
That would be funny if they kept that part up.
Just that.
Because it's like...
no.
You come up 95 and you're like...
No. Which, if you've ever been on 95 near Baltimore, you're like...
That's so apropos.
No.
It's like, you come up 95 and you're like, should I do Baltimore?
No.
And keep driving. Right through the toll booth.
Although, honestly, like, a lot of Baltimore is kind of... But there are some really nice parts of Baltimore.
There is, and it's unfortunate that...
None of them are the Inner Harbor, but... I mean, the Inner Harbor's nice, but, like, there's more nice parts of Baltimore than just the harbor.
Yeah, I mean, the harbor is the
tourist.
The tourists and the I wouldn't say the focal point, but it is, what's the word I'm looking for? Like if you're at a Thanksgiving table.
It's the grown-up table?
Ooh, it does get grown up. Because for a while, like, the boardwalk or the harbor was always connected to some sort of crime. A stabbing or a shooting.
But probably mostly at night, right?
Or a Ray Lewis situation. Yeah, and I think, well, even when I had like my 10-year high school reunion, we had that on the Spirit of Baltimore, right? Which, it was cute to see people, but the damn harbor water smelled hell high, crazy, nasty, and the food wasn't all that. Like, I can tell y'all, like, carried over this rice from another function. But you get what you pay for.
It was a 10-year reunion. So.
And it was, the price was lower than it is now.
Well,
and
that's true everything.
But yeah, like, we were waiting. I get there on time because, you know, that's my habit. That's my character.
Punctual.
Right. Which goes against the stereotype of colored people. Right. So we're on the pier waiting for the boat to arrive. And, you know, people, there are probably about a good 4 or 5 of us standing there. And the harbor area, for the most part, has been pretty quiet. But then all of a sudden, you know, one of the emo white kids was being attacked. And we were like, oh. By some of the black kids. And I was like, oh, we about to have Wild Wild West out here. But, you know, you just never know. I think it's gotten better in the 10 years since then. I've been down there a couple of times since then, and it's been fine. But I don't stay long. Not because of that, but I just don't stay long.
We were on the harbor, on the inner harbor. I mean, not Fells Point, but like, because we went to the planetarium.
And we went
at the National Science Center, Maryland Science Center. Sorry.
So in February of 2020.
2020. It was right before the.
It was last year. It was so they were the Maryland Science Center was having
planetarium.
A free. They do like a free. Well, I don't know if they still do it.
They were and had been for a long time doing like a free. They did it during the day to like look at the sun, but on Friday nights they did a free stargazing thing, and you'd go up there, and it's a small space, so it's very limited access, like each small groups. And so we were like, oh, we went to dinner at a restaurant we love on the harbor, and this was our date night. And we went to the planetarium and got to look at the moon.
And Venus.
And
the constellations.
Yeah, I forget what the constellation was, but it was cool. It was a cold night. It was chilly, and you're in this dome, which is of course a big round, dome, open on one side for the big ass telescope.
It wasn't my dome.
That was later.
Heyo.
And it was cool. It was neat. Like, I want to go back. Like, we put on your fucking mask so I can go look at stars through a giant-ass telescope. Because that was pretty cool. That was a neat... That was a neat evening. And, we were freezing cold, though.
We were, but it was so worth it.
Yeah, it was.
And it was... And not even that, like... It was cool even being in the dome part where the guy moved the whole telescope.
The whole thing.
And the whole thing turned and moved. That was pretty neat.
The cool thing was like he was talking and we were on the opposite side of the dome from him, and it sounded like he was literally standing next to us because of the acoustic. It was so cool. It was neat.
Y'all need to be nerdy more.
Yeah, that's right. Don't sleep on nerds. Like,
don't.
We know good shit, and we'll find cool stuff that you wouldn't stumble onto otherwise.
And you'll never be able to argue against science. Oh, the government, and no, it's science, and Dr. Fauci is real, and he knows what he's talking about.
And he's small.
And Bill not. Oh, how small is he?
I think he's a short dude. He's a little dude.
And I'll just say this. Nerds and geeks may be small in height, but they're probably not small elsewhere.
Yeah, I could see where it could get there.
Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I say this to say that don't sleep on the geeks and the nerds. If you're currently in not grade school, if you're currently in high school or in college and you're at the lunch table and like, you know, you're part of the popular crowd and they're like,
Find yourself a nerd.
Don't date him, girl. Don't date the nerd. Don't date the geek. Girl, take him to your prom. Make him your baby daddy and your soulmate. And thank us later. What you saying? Nevertheless.
Accurate.
Be good and be kind to each other.
Please do.
And
let's make the world
be
a better
considerate.
place.
He pulled the Michael Jackson card. Not heal the world. I
didn't even think of that, to be fair. I just was like, can we stop being assholes to each other?
Right, and think of somebody else.
Remember, like...
And get vaccinated, hoes.
April of 2020, like March, April. Like we were a month into it, heading into the, spring. And I know a lot of people that we were around were all kind of like, okay, if nothing good comes from this other than this time where we're not trying to, like, do all the stuff, if nothing good comes from this other than maybe people will end up being more kind to each other. Remember how idealistic that was?
A very Mr. Rogers Neighborhood.
Like, there was a whole thing like, okay, well, it's a slower pace, everything's slowing down, we're focused on our families and our close friends and people we care about, and then now we've got these... Anyway. You know where I'm going. You know where we are now, and how maybe idealistic it was about 15 months ago. At least I know I was. I'm like, oh, well, maybe this will be the thing that moves us into the next part of being alive.
And there was a glimmer of hope. Herb. I said herb. That's
a whole different thing. You don't want a glimmer of that.
You sure don't.
No. You're going to need, penicillin or something.
There was a glimmer of hope about a month ago. Parts of the state had lifted, and you and I were going to brunch for a while while the house was on the market. We were able to do indoor and outdoor maskless, and they were kind of like testing it out.
Yeah,
a week or so at a time.
Like, I feel like there were incremental, like, expansions of safety for people who are vaccinated, at least.
And that was a good time, like April, May.
Like late April, May, early June.
Was so good.
It was so nice. I mean, I was still anxious and apprehensive as fuck, but because we're fully vaccinated, but I still don't fucking want it.
And here's the thing, like, this Delta Burke strain that's made it stateside has already affected a couple of people that I'm Facebook friends with, people that I have experienced personally and intimately to some extent. And this is the last time that's happened was like 2017. So it's like people that I like and people that are good people, which is hard to come by in the gay community. I'm going to put a pin in that for a future video.
Yeah, save that for another time.
Because I got some stories.
I have something to say. You have something to say.
I can't stand you ungrateful bitches.
You ungrateful bitches.
They do!
Let me tell you why.
I bet if they broke out the sage, half of the room would disappear. That's how evil these hoes are.
You're not lying.
But like, people, I don't know if they had the itch
Well, if
for
that's
going.
the case, they need an ointment.
Well, a couple itches. Because, gays, we always have an itch for dick. I don't know if it's like an itch that they had from being cooped up and being away from people. Like, I can't speak for other people, but I can speak on what I observe. But no, like, I understand, after you've been cooped up in the house for a year, like, away from other gay people and away from other events and stuff, that, you want to go to Provincetown, an island in New England that I think you have to take a ferry to get to and be on the beach with other people. But I saw the photos, the beach photos, and I was just like, ooh, I know this Delta Burke variant is just spreading around on everybody and being very fabulous. And sure as shit fire, I was right. Because people came back to the Maryland DMV area and turned out they were positive for COVID. Thankfully, they were vaccinated, so they didn't. Which, by the way,
You're talking about
if you're
the
vaccinated,
boys in B-Town?
right?
Okay.
If you're vaccinated and you get COVID, this new strain, because we're past.
Anyway, carry on with your story.
I don't work to pour it. I luxuriate. I get drinks poured for me.
So I've poured 2 drinks for me. That's mine.
Look like we got a switcheroo going.
I spit in that one.
What is this, The Color Purple? You know that scene in The Color Purple where she spit in Mr. Daddy's water?
Everybody gets this, but if it was straight white people, they'd be like, oh no, they're fighting. They're not fighting, they're just being idiots. Anyway, carry on, because you were making a good point.
I don't give a fuck about white people. Nat Turner taught me that. But nevertheless, people came back from Provincetown. You're not white, you're off-white. Gay people came back from Provincetown positive for the new strain of COVID. Thankfully, because there are, some responsible gay people that got vaccinated, they didn't end up in the hospital. So, I say that to say this. If you are vaccinated, you are still susceptible to getting the new strain. The vaccine doesn't absolve you from getting sick or feeling fatigued, but it does lower your risk of ending up in the hospital on a ventilator.
Worse.
Unlike the Republicans that believe it's fake news.
And all of that's good. Like, if, God forbid, either one of us get it, I will be appreciative of the fact that likely it will be no worse than a seasonal cold, for the most part. Maybe a bad cold, but still, like, it's gonna suck. Like, odds are it's not gonna be that bad. But here's the thing about all of it. We don't know how the whole long COVID thing, how the vaccine impacts that. Like, I have enough health issues because I'm a fat old guy. Sorta. I'm not that old, but
He's not that fat either.
I'm not that fat. I'm not that old. But I have health issues. Like, I have things that would make me more, even without that stuff, that would make me more of a concern if I got it.
Right.
I don't want the long COVID.
Is there a short COVID?
Well, yeah. There's the COVID you have and you get over, and then you're lucky and you don't have the long-term stuff. There's not a lot of those. But, like, we don't know. Like, even if you get the vaccine and you have no symptoms, and you don't even know you're sick, A, you can spread it, and B, we don't know if you'll have long COVID where your brain, like, one of the things that they've seen is, like, brain damage from this shit.
But you just stop calling it long COVID.
But that's what it's called. It's when your month.
Yeah, get vaccinated, hoes. Go to the CVS or the Walgreens. Well, Rite Aid's not around anymore. Go to the local hospital, local clinic, and get your 2 shots. Because we don't need y'all on ventilators. We don't need y'all on the camera talking about how shit's fake. Because clearly it's not. The shit's very serious. If I can keep my gay ass in the house away from events. You know, they just had market days in Chicago. Didn't go to that. Not going to BBM. I am going to MAL in DC at the Hyatt. Y'all better get y'all act together between now and that.
Was that January?
Right, because we didn't have it this year. I wonder why. Y'all thought it was a fucking joke. Y'all thought it was fake news, and it's not.
Come on. We should know better.
So get together, y'all. Y'all got, what is this, August? September, October, November, December. Y'all got 4 months. Because it's mid-January. Y'all got 4 months. And we're at this point with vaccinations that you can't just, you can just walk into a pharmacy and get it. Right. Even my pharmacy, that's not a Walgreens or a CVS, like a store, lemonade stand type pharmacy.
Free vaccine or $73,000 hospital bill.
Oh damn, you knew this.
I just saw that this morning.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that's the average for a COVID hospitalization. I guess, assuming you get out of it. Like, free vaccine, $0. COVID, hospitalization, ventilator, mechanical tube, plastic thing shoved down your throat, shredding the back of your throat. Probably not literally, but it's not going to be pleasant. And it'll cost you $73,000. Get the goddamn shot.
I don't know about y'all, but I need my throat. And I know the ladies out there need theirs. Because you gotta, when you're on a nice date, your man take you to Red Lobster or Applebee's.
That's right. You know he wants it. So.
Or Benihana's. Is Benihana still around? A nice Japanese place where they cook the food in front of you, and your kitty cat is moist. It's rained down on me Ashanti style, and you're like, okay. I might have to sit on his face later. Just saying. I know what I was saying, but girl, you know what I'm saying.
The boys know what you're saying too.
You're gonna have to give them that gawk levels 5,000. I'm just saying. That's right. Because if a man put out for steak and lobster, you're gonna have to give him that gawk 5,000. A double-handed joint.
Well, now you're just, doing a lot.
Which is just enough for the right man. Don't forget, ladies.
He's not wrong.
If a man, ladies and gentlemen, and those in between, if a man feels like you're doing too much, that's not the man for you. It is time to go on to greener pastures to the next man. You are enough. Everybody is enough. You are enough. Don't you forget that. This has been the I Reviews podcast. I am Mr. Fox, and this is my co-host, Welch's Grape. Nell Carter's evening gown. Pavarotti's lapels. Aretha Franklin's inauguration hat.
Mark.
And not in the traditional spelling. Be good, be kind to each other, and get fucking vaccinated so we can travel again. Stop going on boats and stop going to other countries on flights unvaccinated and fight with the flight crew and fight with other passengers because you don't want to keep your mask on. You're in a fucking metal canister going, what, 600 miles an hour?
Roughly. Probably a little less, but whatever.
And people like me that's in our bed that can't sleep, that are watching this shit on YouTube and TikTok, midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, laughing, low key. Because y'all are acting up 3 minutes at a time. Because you feel like you're oppressed. Grow the fuck up.
You know what oppresses your freedom? Having smallpox or polio.
Is that coming back?
No, but talk about, like there are a whole bunch of vaccines we all have to fucking get when we're kids to prevent, like, polio, which would end up in an iron lung. How much fucking freedom do you think you'd have in a pressurized metal can laying on a bed? Get the fucking vaccine, you fucking idiots. Not that your audience is a fucking bunch of fucking idiots.
I love my audience, and I hope you guys
Y'all
love
are
us.
fucking idiots.
We respect and consider you guys, and we're just here to entertain and,
But if you're not vaccinated, you're a fucking idiot.
Right.
We still love you.
Be kind, be great, be considerate, and subscribe and email and follow us on streaming and Twitter and Instagram. I Refuse Podcast on Twitter. I_refuse_podcast Instagram. The email, irefusepodcast@gmail.com. We have a Patreon now, and Twitter, Instagram, and we're on 8 streaming platforms. Content's different between video and streaming. And have a great year. Bye.